Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on our channel English Bridge. Today's video we're going to talk about one of the important topics in English, which is preposition of time, specifically in, on, at and by. So if you have any question, any problems dealing with this preposition, or you don't know how to use them correctly, this video is for you. Stay with us. Welcome back again. So, as we said in the introduction, we're going to talk about preposition of time, in, on, at, and by. The first one we're going to start with is at. We use at when we talk about time. So, every time you want to mention something at a specific time during the day, you should use it with at. For example, we can say at 5 o'clock. At 9:45, at midday, or you can say at midnight, at lunchtime, at noon, at sunset, etc. So as you can see, all these words, they are talking about specific time during the day. That's why all the time you should precede it by at. Alright, so for example you can say I finish work at 5 o'clock, or you can say I leave home at 9:45. You can say I have lunch at midday, etc. Now the focus might be a little bit here. This word, they are talking about time. Why? Because midday technically means 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and midnight means 12 o'clock in the evening. I mean, like at the time we're going to sleep. Lunchtime, it's a specific. It could be like 1 o'clock, it could be like 2 o'clock, etc. Noon, again, it's like 12 o'clock. Sunset, then time that the sun goes down. All right. So all these words, they're talking about time. That's why we use at before all of them. Okay, this is for a first point. All right, the second thing we need to focus on is that we don't always use at only with time. Sometimes we can use it with some other expressions. So, for example, we can say at the moment, at present, at this time. Okay, all these words, they mean almost like now. For example, you can say, can you call me back later? Busy at the moment. All right, so this is number one. Another one could be at the weekend, or at weekends. For example, you can say I spent a lot of time with my family at weekends. So as you can see, before weekends we use at. Another one could be at night. So before night we use at. For example, I don't like drinking coffee at night. All right, so as you see, there are many expressions that we can use with at. The last two we have about at are the following ones. At the same time. For example, you can say my brother and I arrived at the same time. All right, as you can see. And the last one that we have is at Christmas. At Christmas. For example, we say people visit each other at Christmas. But you need to be careful here, because if you say Christmas Day, here we don't use at, we use on Christmas Day, at Christmas. All right, so that's everything about at. Let's go to the second one. Now, the second one that we have is on. And this is the easiest one, because we use it only to talk about days and dates. So every time you want to talk about days or dates, you should precede it by on. For example, Monday, Friday, or like June the 12th, or for example, Friday morning. My birthday. New Year's Eve, etc. All right, so as you can see, all these words, they are talking about either days or dates. For example, Monday and Friday, they are days. June the 12th is a date. Friday is a day. My birthday is a day. So here we always use on before these words. Okay? For example, I started work on Monday. I feel tired on Friday. I was born on June the 12th, etc. So, as we see, on before days and dates. The next one we have is in. And this one is a little bit like confusing, because it comes with a lot of words, expressions, etc. So first, let's talk about why we use in general. We use in to talk about months. We use in to talk about seasons, or before seasons. We use it before years, decades, and centuries. Let's go through some examples. Like months, we say June, July, etc. Seasons, for example, winter, summer, etc. Years, like 1990, 2000, 2010, etc. Decades, it means like 10 years, every 10 years. For example, the 19th, the 18th, or the 1990s, 1980s, etc. Here, 1990s or 1980s, it means 1991, 1992, 93, up to 1999. 1980s, it means 81, 82, 83, until 89, all right? And the same for everything else. The last one is centuries. In the 21st century, in the 20th century, etc. Example, we are in the 21st century. So as you can see, we use in here. Another example, I was here in August. So August is a month, so we use it with in. Another example, I moved here in 2014. 2014 is a year, so we use it with in. And one more example is, let's talk about seasons. I go on holiday in summer. All right, summer, it's a month, so it's a season, so we use it with in. All right, so this is in general. We use in when we talk about these things in general, and that is fixed all the time. We cannot change it. Now let's talk about some other cases. All right, now there are a lot of expressions that we use with in. For example, the first one is parts of the day. You know, the day is divided into 3 parts: morning, afternoon, and evening. So if you want to say the morning, the evening, or the afternoon, you should always say it with in. So we say in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So be careful here. There is one point here, which is night. We don't say in the night, we say at night, as we talked about this before. All right, so this is first. You can say I get up at 10 in the morning. So as you can see here, we have 2 prepositions, at and in. Before time we used at, and before the morning we used in, and so many other examples. This is one. Another thing is we use in when we talk about when something will happen. For example, in a few minutes. In a minute, or in a moment, or in 6 weeks. All right, etc. So you can say, I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, it means that this thing will happen in a few minutes. Another one, in a moment. For example, I'll call you back in a moment. And the last one, for example, in 6 weeks, I'll finish my course in 6 weeks. All right, so as you can see, when we talk about like things that will happen in the future and when they will happen, we can use in before these time expressions. All right, now let's move to the next one. The last thing is we use in when we talk about how long it takes to do something. For example, you can say, I learned English in a year. All right, I learned English in a year. So how long it took me to learn English? The answer is in a year. Okay, or you can say, I can finish writing a paragraph in 20 minutes. So the question is like, how long does it take you to write a paragraph? The answer is, I can finish it in 20 minutes. All right, so that's all about in. Now, before we move to the last one, there are some expressions we can use it with in or on. Let's talk about them. So the expressions are the following ones. We can say on time, and we can say in time. We can say in the end. In the end. And we can say at the end. Now, what is the difference between these? On time, it means exactly on time, which means punctual. So, for example, you have a meeting. You should be there on time. You have a meeting. You should be there on time. On time. It means exactly at the time of the meeting. So for example, the meeting is at 10 o'clock, you must be there at 10 o'clock. Not later, not like before, all right? In time, it means soon enough. Soon enough. It means it could be a little bit like earlier or like at the specific time. For example, I think I'll be there in time. It means maybe a little bit earlier or maximum at the time, specific time that way, but not later than that time. All right, so this is the small difference between these two expressions. Next ones are in the end, at the end. Now, in the end, it means finally. At the end, it means at the end of something. For example, we say at the end of the month, which means the last few days of the month. So for example, we can say I hang out with friends at the end of the month, which means like the last few days of the month. You can say, for example, at the end of the game. For example, they shook hands at the end of the game. So at the time, like when the game is over. Now, in the end, as I said, it means finally. Finally. For example, you say, I had many problems with my laptop. I sold it in the end. All right, so I sold it in the end. Here it means I sold it finally, or finally I sold it. All right, so this is everything about in, on, at. Now let's move to by. The last one, as we said, is by. By, it means like no later than. Not later than. So for example, if I say like by Monday, it means any time before Monday, maximum on Monday. All right, so for example, you can say to your boss, I will finish, or I'll finish this report by Monday. It means I can finish this report maybe on Saturday, maybe on Sunday, but the maximum is Monday. So on Monday, I will handle it to you. All right, this is the meaning of by. Another one, it could be I'll finish learning Photoshop by June. By June. It means I will try to finish it any time before June. On June, it will be over. All right, so that's everything about these four prepositions. So that's everything about the prepositions of time, in, on, at, and by. I hope that you got everything in the right way and that you don't have any problems right now with this preposition. Anyways, if you still have any problems, any things that is still ambiguous in your mind, leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you later. And I'll leave you now with this, like a test to test yourself and see if you got everything right. See you next video.